a brother or a sister. It is a rude awakening they would want to forget in a hurry.
Reject family because but
in their pain and misery, those who survived the bloody electoral violence are struggling to get back on their feet. Some of them maimed forever. But would anyone care 1 year on? How are the families of the deceased and victims of the violence holding up? My name is Komla Adum, and in this piece, I look back at the events that characterized a tempestuous vote in December 2020, which saw bloodshed, and ask the critical questions. What has changed 1 year on? Is there any hope at all that one day some justice will be served? Or would we forever remember them as those who were killed in an election and simply forgotten? It was another election, though extremely heated in the run-up. For those who are die-hard party people, it was another opportunity to safeguard their vote and support their own to victory no matter what it took. And like in every election since the beginning of Ghana's democratic experiment, even before the break of dawn on December 7, 2020, there were long winding queues at various polling centers. In some places, charged crowds were keen on the outcomes by close of polls at 5 p.m. And right from the Ododo-Diodio constituency, where I was stationed throughout the process, drama began to unfold. A straight battle between incumbent Neelante Vanderpoy and his nemesis Neelante Bannerman stared us in the face. It blew up into a fracas, which led to the arrest of Neelante Vanderpoy and some of his aides that night.
We are accusing him of he shooting the guns, but it's total falsehood, and we are going to fight it. He can't be intimidated on an election day, and we are going to make sure that justice is done.
We would later find out that 2 people were killed during the violent confrontation between supporters of the 2 candidates. The 2 were buried shortly after. Their families were distraught. In the Ablekuma Central constituency, a free-for-all fight at the Odoko Police Church Collation Center on the night of December 7 left at least 5 persons injured. One of them, Ibrahim Abbas, died in hospital days later. A journalist, Pius Esiedu, was also caught up in the crossfire that day. But no constituency in the country had its name dominate the airwaves as much as this one, Techiman South. On my visit to the Bono East regional capital days after the results were declared, I obtained a video footage from a source at the collation center which showed some scuffle at about 11:45 p.m. Monday, December 7. It was bloody. Opposition party supporters in a heated confrontation and the security officials in the thick of a melee. Later, at the Bono Chimpim Hall Collation Center, a crowd of NDC party supporters and activists will be shot into by security operatives in a blitz eyewitnesses have described as fit for a scene from an action movie. 2 of the activists were killed. When I visited the families of the two in December last year, they were broken. Mother of Tajuddin Al-Hassan, Hawa Musa, was at the collation center when her son was shot dead that day. The late Tajuddin's wife wondered how she was going to cater for the 4 children she had with the deceased.
Anka obo no once okra nka beka se bia ututo no ba wa hwani panenim e na wa bo ni tumienu nyina ti that means omo sheda omo pene dada na omo yes ade no ti de hia ne se obeboae ama etimi ahwe nkola no.
This was a family in despair. Father of 18-year-old electrician Abdullah Ayarik, Yusuf Amalu, told me then that security operatives traced mourners to their home during the funeral rites to disperse them. Ilyasu Sulemana was, however, lucky to survive. I met him at the Wenchi Government Hospital where he was on admission days after the shooting incident.
Now much in this from your left side senior MP from the right side say the gunshot no kwara social say no police ni bia na military ni bia na the bullets na two FAC on side ko video out almost started to one shot ni na almost the face here. Now we were all at the same place. So more place now can switch at the same place. Place na ekanye.
In Savelugu in the northern region, 15-year-old student Samira Zakaria was caught by a bullet at the NDC party office during a confrontation there. The lives of these persons were snuffed out in the cruelest manner. But what has changed since December 8, 2020, as the public outrage intensifies over the seeming lack of action by the police on this matter?
It's been 1 year since I was here to meet some of the victims of the Techiman South chaotic election, which led to the loss of lives of some individuals and injuries to some of them. I'm back here to interact with them to see what has changed in their lives and how that incident has changed their perspective of life generally and how they are keeping on.
Ilyasu Sulemana and his elder brother Ice Papa tell me life has never been the same since Ilyasu was discharged from the Wenchi Government Hospital.
I'm a bush, a cofondiaba. A corner say, workers in Wamanam Susu Musana, Yaludu Diaba. Namenity in Timin Kobio.
I have been unable to work. My arm is still not fully healed. I am unable to use it for anything, even eating, because I still feel a lot of pain.
Beyond the initial visits by leadership of the NDC who catered for their medical bills and that of the other victims, they have been left to their fate and further angered by these claims by First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osei-Wusu.
I think that it is not fair for people to refer to an event without going back. What happened? Should the president just talk about if a criminal is shot, he's shot. The crime does not matter? I beg to differ. What happened? The president should stay out. Let the investigative people determine.
For Ilyasu and the others here, these statements were unfortunate.
ABC armed robbers. Now, I
was shocked to hear him describe us that way. We cannot be robbers, and we would have expected him to know better, to probe the matter before concluding. It is painful.
On June 17, 2021, Interior Minister Ambrose Derry, on a visit to the area, commiserated with the families.
The CID
has been giving me progress report. No report, no allegation has been made that this young man who died is an armed robber. No, it is not anywhere. If that is the impression, I want to apologize to you that it is not the case. It is purely an election mishap, and that is where it is.
I have traveled further up to the northern region to meet family of a 15-year-old Samira Zakaria who was killed by a bullet at the NDC party office. Samantha Al-Hassan, grandmother of a little girl, speaks about the circumstances under which she died.
We went to the office to look for a missing child among the crowd that day when gunshots were heard. My granddaughter fell down. I also sustained injuries. She died upon reaching the hospital.
She also sustained gunshot injuries during the chaos. The 72-year-old escaped death by a whisker. And since then, the police has only visited their home once. Samira's uncle, Yakubu Zakaria, remembers fondly how industrious Samira was.
Samira was a hard-working child. We can never forget her. Elections are meant to choose leaders, not to kill people.
Back here in Accra, the Otu family have decided not to hold a one-year commemorative event to mark the death of their 15-year-old daughter. Rita Otu was one of 2 people who died here. She was among the motley crowd helping her mother sell water and beverages.
Rita!
When I see her colleagues going to school, I remember her and I always break down.
And as she tells me, there have been no police contacts or investigations into circumstances that led to her daughter's death since the incident.
I've been all by ourselves. Nobody has been here to ask about her death since last year. She helped me do my trading business, and without her, I am lonely.
But while they continue to grieve, they hope someday the death of their daughter will be avenged. Few meters away from the Bukom Park and close to the sea here in Jamestown is home of 37-year-old Emmanuel Dompre, an NDC polling agent who was also killed during the elections here. Emmanuel Dompre's father, Samuel Ofori Dompre, shows me photos of his 3-year-old grandson, who now lives without a father since he was killed. He's bitter about the neglect of the NDC party executives in the constituency after his son died.
Me for yemi wa dienche. Me for serious. Keje nyone mi in woko yembi lehi wo. In lose ye no fin no mi idi na enye shi dienche.
I am grieving. I have had sleepless nights all these months. I have lost it all. And it is even more painful that the one for whom he was working as a polling agent, the MP, has neglected us.
Up to now.
Like the Otu, Zakaria, Tajuddin Abbas families, Samuel Dompre says there has been no word from the security agencies on the matter.
Nobody has been here for any investigations to know how it happened, but I believe we would be one day vindicated.
Brother of a slain polling agent Abraham Mensah is outraged. The party his brother died for has neglected them, even the member of parliament for the constituency.
My brother's death has been in vain because the party he worked for does not even care about us. The MP was the target of the gunshots which killed my brother, yet he has not been here to do anything for us.
Despite these atrocities that occurred during the December polls, the Electoral Commission and some observers have described it as a historic vote which was peaceful.
Ghana held an election in December 2020 that proved that the story of elections in our sub-region can indeed be an inspiration, that our story as West African states can be one that brings hope to our youth and light to the coming generation. Sadly, 7 lives were lost. And though this does not occur at our polling stations, nor arise as a result of misconduct on our part, 1 life lost is 1 too many. We are confident that our security agencies will share their findings and recommendations for future learning.
In April 2021, a police representative at a Kodeo post-election conference in Adan, when asked about updates on the matter, said, at the same event, the police mentioned preliminary assessments show the bullets from the Teshiman South Coalition Center, which killed and injured agitating youth of the NDC, may have come from the crowds. PNC General Secretary Janet Nabla wonders how that was even possible.
I was shocked to realize that the police told us that it was bullets from the mob justice or something that rather hits other people and kill them, not from them. So I was asking about the forensic, whether they've done forensic audits on the bullets to be able to ascertain which particular person bought the pistol that it went and killed another person. And they said they have done that, and that very soon they will bring the report. I don't know when the report will come out, because from 7th of December up until now, and a report about murders is not yet out, is somehow mind-boggling. I don't think that at the PNC side we were okay with what the police were doing.
For the NDC's deputy campaign manager during the 2020 elections, also Director for International Relations Alex Segbefia, the police's lack of action on the matter is a recipe for disaster.
If a lot more could have been done to bring people to book. The government's posture on this issue didn't help, because how long did it take for anybody in government to even visit the victims and see people who were in hospital, or visit the bereaved families, if they have in some cases? I don't think in all cases. But having said that, the government has almost given a posture of disinterest, and that is for the people who were in the election. How much more the people who were involved in IRS who were gone as well. So you ask yourself, if the government's posture is that, well, it appears you belong to a different political party, so we are no longer thinking of you as Ghanaians, we are thinking of you as other political party supporters, then we think that is unfortunate.
For members of parliament for Norton and Elembele, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa and Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, A petition to the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice (CHRAJ) on August 25, 2021 will get to the bottom of the atrocities.
Nobody deserves to be killed any time in our history, let alone during elections. And look at the tall list, the compilation we have put together and presented to CHRAJ. People who have been maimed, people who have lost their limbs. We cannot accept this, and we cannot continue to pretend that these gross human rights violations, these grave atrocities, did not occur during the December 7, 2020 elections.
The action was specifically lodged against the Defense and Interior Ministers, as well as the police and the armed forces.
Those who have died, we cannot bring them back. But they've left, some of them have left young children, some of them have left families that are in distress. They deserve compensation. Since the 10th of December, not even an update to the general public. We don't know who is conducting this investigation. Which committee did they set up? Who is looking into these matters? Who has been interdicted? And in carrying out the research to go to CHRAJ, we have been impressed at how so much evidence is available all over the place, particularly thanks to you in the media who covered these incidents. TV3, the Ablekuma Central, a lot of the footage that we have sent to CHRAJ is from TV3, the TV3 newsroom, your colleagues. They were there and captured everything live. You could see the officers who pulled the trigger, live ammunition.
For security analyst and executive director of Ejati K Center for Human Security and Peace Building, Adib Sani, this is simply unacceptable.
It is quite disturbing that 1 year on, still no single human being has been held to account for the deaths of these 7 people. And the silence on the part of the authorities is sending a very dangerous signal out there to the effect that you can die, but make sure you don't die during an election. Because when you die during an election, we call it a foolish death. So what in essence this also means is when there's an election, on one hand, especially security services or agents would feel that, hey, it's an election and we can be high-handed, we can kill and nobody would be held to account because it's happened before.
He fears if nothing is done to bring the officers to book, the impunity may fester.
So what in essence it means is their deaths mean nothing. And that is disturbing because they are humans, they are Ghanaians. Okay, the families deserve some level of closure. We are in a Zongo community, as you can see, we are in New Town. And the last time we spoke, I told you instructively that I know one of the gentlemen who was killed during the election. He was shot at Ablekuma and later died at the hospital. I've spoken to his family members and they are so livid, they are so angry. The community is angry. Nobody would show it now. But maybe it might rear its, ugly head later in the future. So, I mean, what has happened is quite disturbing and many people seem to be so peeved by that.
So, going forward, I know that CHRAJ, for example, has been petitioned by some members of parliament on this particular matter. There's also the court action that has been taken by some members of parliament again on behalf of these victims. What would be your expectation of these other bodies and the work they do in this space?
Well, I mean, CHRAJ can do a better work. Civil society can also add their voices to what is happening. I mean, I have on countless occasions taken it more like a personal crusade to put pressure on the authorities to ensure that the right thing is done.
Right.
Even though it's been very difficult because it appears like, there's some demonstration of nonchalance, indifference on the part of the authorities because we seem to have politicized the whole thing. It has gone beyond being murder to politics. Okay? And because of political expedience, it's as if people don't seem very interested in it.
Well, civil society groups fear the rippling effect of a seeming lack of action on this matter could be dire. Senior Research Fellow at the Institute for Democratic Governance, IDEG, Professor Kwesi Jonah agrees.
Some people unfortunately lost their lives during the election. we haven't come to any conclusion on this matter. Nobody arrested, nobody prosecuted. And this doesn't speak well for the rule of law in this country. We need every election should be peaceful. And if any people should commit acts of violence, such as killing people and so on and so forth, those people should be brought to book as quickly as possible. This has not happened.
Professor Jonah, however, believes it is not too late.
If somebody loses his or her life, justice must be done. Justice must be done. In this case, justice has not been done. So society, we have all failed them. And those of us who have been in civil society organizations, we should be putting pressure to get answers for inaction on the part of the criminal justice system to resolve a matter. It was on everybody's lips during and after the election. Yet, nothing has happened.
Well, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, CHRAJ, says it has not concluded its probe into the matter as contained in the petition by the two MPs. TV3 News reached out to the Director General of CHRAJ, Joseph Wotal, who told us findings of a petition will be made known once the probe is concluded. Our attempts to get updates on the investigations, if any, into the killings and injuries during the election from the police were not responded to. A letter dated November 30, 2021 and addressed to Director General Police Public Affairs Directorates, ACP Kwesi Fori, was yet to be responded to at the time of producing this feature. The service had, however, acknowledged receipt of the interview request with other subsequent follow-ups. On the basis of this and all that's happened since the chaotic election in December 2020, watchers fear this is an end to another cold one, as long as the police remains silent and treats this like just another one. Because while justice delays, a father is gone, a sister, a brother, a friend, all gone, killed in an election and simply forgotten.